Gudino, and I am part of Group 6, where we will be discussing energy waste. You're probably wondering, what exactly is energy waste? Why should we care? Well, firstly, we must know how we get energy from waste, which is best described as the process of generating energy in the form of electricity and or heat, and the processing of waste into a fuel source. Fuel sources are also pretty important to remember when it comes to the topic of energy waste. Fuel sources, or you may know them as fossil fuels, include coal, oil, and natural gas. Fossil fuel plants burn coal or oil, which of course creates heat. The heat is then used to generate steam, which will then drive these giant turbines and thus generate electrical energy. There are many ways to generate energy, but burning fossil fuels is the most damaging to the environment, and unfortunately the most common way to do so. You see, fossil fuels are carbon-based fuels, meaning they produce a large amount of carbon dioxide and other greenhouse gases, which means burning them traps both the heat and those gases into our atmosphere, which in turn is the primary contributor to climate change and global warming. According to the Natural Resources Defense Council, burning fossil fuels provides about 80% of the entire world's energy needs. These needs include what may sound like simple activities like heating and cooling our homes, using a microwave, watching TV. Honestly, the list can go on and on. While it may be inevitable to fully rid of fossil fuel plants, I had also mentioned there are many other ways to generate energy, some of which aren't as harmful to the environment. We are also able to produce energy through wind, water, and even the sun. But one of the best ways to reduce our carbon footprint, or how much energy is being wasted, is by taking the matter into your own hands, and you can simply start in your own home. Saving energy will also help you save money. It's important to be mindful of what kind of appliances you use. Are they energy efficient verified? Usually the appliance or the maker of the appliance will state it plainly in the manual or as advertised. You should also remind yourself to always turn off your appliance when you're no longer using them, seal all your windows when the AC is on, wash your clothes in cold water, or if you're anything like me, maybe you also have the bad habit of not unplugging your chargers once they're no longer being used. If you ever want any more tips on how you can reduce energy at home, you should check out environmentaldefensefund.org. While you can find tips for conserving energy at home, there's also advice on how to conserve energy anywhere you go. Overall, always remember that energy wasted is energy that isn't being utilized to its fullest potential. As we go on, you'll find out a lot more about the causes of energy waste, the effects it has on our environment, and even how the COVID-19 pandemic has also been a contribution to energy waste as well. For now, we'll move on to Carlos, who will go more into depth about the importance and history of energy.
Hi, I'm Carlos Lima, and I'll be talking about the history of energy waste. Ever since the Industrial Revolution, humans have had a tendency to always waste resources, especially energy. Without paying much attention, we use and waste energy every second of our lives, even right now. Wasted energy is energy that is not usefully transferred or transformed. As Albert Einstein said, energy cannot be created nor destroyed. It can only be changed from one form to another. When energy is transformed or transferred, only part of it can be usefully transformed or transferred. When a person leaves a plugged-in charger but no device charging, that's wasted energy. Leaving lights on around the household when no one is around is another form of wasted energy. By wasting energy, humans have seen an increase in carbon footprint that has risen over the past 200 years, ever since the Industrial Revolution, when humans moved on to more mass production capabilities. If humans do not decrease energy waste, the Organization for Economic Cooperation and Development warns, given the current trends, energy-related emissions will increase by 70% by 2050. This can obviously and will accelerate the negative consequences of climate change, including higher temperatures around the world and a rise in extreme weather events, as we've seen here in 2020 and past years. Extracting and burning fossil fuels to produce electricity releases carbon dioxide and other heat trapping greenhouse gases, as well as local air pollutants. It also yields a lot of waste. 2/3 of the energy in fossil fuels is lost, vented as heat, at most power plants in the United States. The so-called waste heat is a byproduct of generating the energy, part of the thermodynamic process. The typical plant burns 3 units of fuel to generate just 1 unit of electricity. And also a natural consequence of wasting energy is also increased energy costs, with the consumer footing the bill. Americans spend, on average, $350 billion a year on electricity, and that figure will only go up. Humans throughout history have always wasted energy, but it's up to our generation to become more eco-friendly for future generations. Now I'll pass it on to Rodrigo.
Hi guys, my name is Rodrigo. I'm gonna be talking about the causes of energy waste. We can start from the big companies that 40% of the energy they use is to maintain ACs and heaters on. So imagine this, big corporations such as like Gap Inc. or Navy or other like big brands, 40% of the energy that they use will be just to like power up their cooling system or warming up system. That wastes a lot of energy. Not only that, but sometimes we leave them on without even using them. That's when waste energy comes in. Another cause of it is that 25% of worldwide electricity consumption is due to the light bulbs that we use. Can you imagine that? A lot of the light bulbs that we use can be changed into an incandescent bulb, which could decrease the amount of energy that is being used at our homes. Also, not only that, but now that we're talking about the home, there are little habits that we do that can also help us stop the waste of energy. I know I'm not the only one, but we tend to leave our phones, laptops, like chargers on. We do it because we think, okay, our phone is not connected. But studies have shown that actually they are consuming energy. Just the fact that they're being plugged, that's absorbing a certain percentage of energy from the overall. Not only that, but because of the pandemic nowadays, we tend to have or heat waves, fans are always on everywhere you go in the house. But it becomes an energy waste when some rooms might be empty and then they will still be running, trying to cool down an area. Also TVs and other media, other items of that display media that we have on, for example, Nintendo consoles, Xbox, PlayStations, TVs, DVDs, not that, we still use them, I hope. Those also absorb energy just by having them plugged in. So if we could change those little things, that can also reduce the causes of energy waste. But did you guys know that power plants generate about 14 billion kilowatt hours of electricity from burning 29.5 million tons of combustible MSW? So not only that, but the amount of energy that we have to burn in order to get enough kilowatts, that's also energy waste, because we have to be conscious of how much energy does it takes for a company to be able to work, and how much energy is just being wasted. So as consumers, we should be able to think of the environment first, and as individuals, let's think about things that we can do at home to stop energy waste from keep happening. Thank you guys for listening.
Hi, my name is Abba, and today I will be talking about what are effects of energy waste. The first one I will be talking about is it increases our carbon footprint. When we leave our laptop plugged in for a long time, it can waste up to 300 kilowatts an hour. Now, if we leave a desktop, it can go up to 600 kilowatts an hour. And the problem with this is it releases greenhouse gases into the air, thus increasing our carbon footprint. Next, we will be talking about how it increases the risk of climate change. In the US, 2/3 of our energy is made from coal and natural gases. 5,200 million metric tons of carbon dioxide are released into the air, and all these are created by fossil fuels. So when you add methane emissions and natural gases also going into the environment, it just increases our risk more for climate change. And all this has gone up every year because of our electrical use. We are careless with it, and in the long run, it's going to affect the climate. With all this energy we're wasting, the next issue we run into is the lack of supplies. Since we rely so much on coal and natural gases and our usage is so high, the materials are becoming scarce, in turn causing us to drill and mine more in order to meet our demands. And the price of that is our environment. Now this leads me to our last point, the cost of it all. Because we use so much energy, our prices are rising. For example, the United States wastes more than $2 billion worth of energy each year just from insufficient outdoor lighting alone. And those prices will just keep rising. So we are paying for the energy, but we are not getting the quality that we are paying for. The same is true for us when we pay our home electricity bill. Lastly, what contributes to the cost is the cost of mining and drilling because of all the work that is put into it. So these are just a few of the effects of many due to energy waste. So I hope you could keep these in mind next time you leave your computer plugged in. Thank you.
Hello, I'm Victor Perez, and I'll be presenting the slide about the effects of the pandemic. Well, there's many types of energy that we use throughout the country. The main types that we use are coal, natural gases, and renewable energy. Coal and natural gases are the main types that we use throughout the country to produce electricity. The renewable energy is becoming a popular option due to the eco-friendliness it gives to the environment. Renewable energy are energy sources in which uses the environment to produce electricity. This includes solar power, wind power, or water generation. While renewable energy does not create the same amount as other sources, it is often accompanied by natural gases in case of its depletion. Though for the most part, renewable energy is not in any danger of being depleted during the pandemic. However, temperatures and weather patterns matter a lot in terms of what types of energies are being used. For example, in March, because there was a cooler climate, that meant energy usage was low, which meant renewable energy and natural gases were the popular options at the time. Though in July and August, because of the warmer climate, that meant more people needed to use the energy, which meant coal and natural gases took over as the primary suppliers. But let's talk about the practical aspects of the pandemic. Because people were staying home more, that meant there was less driving. And because there was less driving, that meant less gas usage, which also meant less CO2 within the atmosphere. Though because people stayed home more, that meant streaming services were used more and more. The most popular one, Netflix, has over 158 million subscribers throughout the world. This means that Netflix needs to be able to produce energy in order to keep maintenance and keep its streaming services up. Another source of energy waste includes chargers. Because people need to stay at home, that means they need to be able to entertain themselves. The primary way is to use electronics. And since electronics require energy, that means they need chargers in order to keep up that energy. Chargers staying on outlets have a tendency to waste energy. The last type of energy waste being used throughout the country is one that we might not expect. It's actually hospital beds. There are over 925,000 hospital beds throughout the country, but these are not the good numbers needed in order to support epidemics. An additional 575,000 beds need to be created in order to help deal with the pandemic in a practical aspect.